start the last line on Chaf Dalet Amud Bais 24, the very last line. These two dots, it says Yolda Tumtum Vandroginus. The Mishnah says several cases, but the way the Gemara explained the Mishnah was that there was a Reisha, a middle case, and a Seifa. We're talking about either a Bachar, a firstborn animal, an animal that's giving birth to its firstborn, and instead of that, instead of it just giving birth, he calls it a Eily. Right. Or the middle case was a regular kachim animal that gives birth to another animal, and he calls it a shlamim before it gives birth. And then we had the last case of Shnei Zacharim, which we said that went back to the case of Bachar. Now we see Yolda Tumtum Androginus. The Mishnah says that Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says it's not Kodesh. Gemara asks, "Am I in Kedusha Chalal Aleim?" We're on top of page 25. Why is it not Kodesh? And what we're talking about, maybe a Bachar, we'll say it's not a Bachar because it's not a Zachar. But one of the cases of the Mishnah was if it was a different Karban and it was just giving birth. Now, other Karbanas...
Hey, Jeff. Okay, hello. Okay, put it in mute. Yeah, we're in class.
Morning. We're on top of 25. So other karbanas are the child could be a female. So why are we saying that it doesn't become kodesh if it's a tumtum and androgynous, which the gender isn't determined? So the Gemara answers, because Reb Shimon ben Gamliel v'ladis kedashim b'avyasin in kedashim. Really, what the Gemara is trying to say here is that if the animal becomes kodesh in steps, in phases, it grows a little bit, that part gets kodesh. It grows a little bit, it gets kodesh. So then we would say that it's kodesh regardless of the gender that in the end we can't determine. But if we say that it's kodesh only at the end, when it gives birth, so then we could say that, oh, 1 second, it's the kedusha is not going to be chal, you're not going to come on it, because right at the end we see, oh, it has a big mum, or it's not the right gender. It's not going to be kodesh because it's a tumtum and androgynous. So that's what the Gemara answers here. It says Reb Shimon ben Gamliel holds that v'ladis kedashim b'avyasin hein kedashim. Disal kedaitach me'in kedashim me'iman hein kedashim. Because if you say that they're kodesh from the mother's womb, that means as it's developing in utero, the embryo is developing, amayin kedusha chalaleim. Hatafsetinu kedusha de'imei. Then the kedusha of the mother would go on it step by step. It means, cell by cell or whatever. It must be that Shimon ben Gamliel holds v'ladi kedashim b'avyasin and kedashim that they only become kodesh immediately on their birth. And on the birth, there's already a problem with it. Okay. Now the Gemara says, Haitana Savar, that actually some have a text here that says, La Fuke mi Haitana de Savar. Our Mishnah is going in contrast to another Tana that teaches differently. So we're going to see the contrast here. There's another Tana that taught Vladi Kadashim may Iman Hin Kadashim, that offspring of a karban get the holiness as it's developing. In other words, not at the birth.
While it's in the womb.
While it's in the womb.
So that's going to be the issue in this discussion, I would guess. While it's in the womb versus at birth.
Right.
Okay.
Temurah, we're going to have this very surprising drasha here. It's taught in a Bais. The pasuk.
Is that Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, because I told him.
Where's your Gemara pad?
Yitzi's walking up. I gave it to him. I thought he'd walk up quicker.
He went to the mikveh. No. Okay.
It's going to be electric.
Let me tell you the pasuk, and then we'll go through this. Pasuk says, "Ach b'char asher yivukar la'Hashem bebehema," which means any firstborn animal. It's firstborn to Hashem in an animal. So lo yakdish a person should not consecrate it. Im sharem sel Hashemhu, it belongs to Hashem if it's an ox or a lamb. It means it doesn't need any consecration. It's already holy. Also means you can't make it a different carbon. It's already a bechar. Now, it's a very long pasuk for what it wants to say, that you don't make it kodesh, you don't change its kedusha, it's already a bechar.
With a lot of pronouns.
Right. Ach bechar asher yivukar la'Hashem bebehema. Okay, so the Gemara says like this. Ilu, you can drop the word like. Ilu nemar, if it would say, maybe if it would just say, bechar layakdish, if it would say, don't consecrate a bechar. He shall not consecrate a bechar. Hayisi Aimer. I would have thought that instead of saying he shall not consecrate a bechar, I would have confused the subject and the object of the sentence, and I would have said a bechar shall not consecrate. And now we're talking about a firstborn human shall not consecrate, and it would go like this: Hayisi Aimer bechar layakdish ekdeshes. Firstborn is not allowed to make anything consecrated. He's a firstborn, he's out. No, that's what I would have thought, because it says bechar layakdish. And I would have confused the subject and the object of the sentence. Not.
I make it even stronger, because it says ach bechor. Whenever it says ach is always specific.
Very good. We'll see at the end. The Gemara is going to use ach. Okay. So, Talmud Laimar ish oisai. So now it adds in the words, a man shall not consecrate it, which means Oisai iyat makdish. A bechar cannot make another bechar kodesh. Aval makdish adam bechar hekdeshes. But a person can make other things kodesh. In other words, it now limited it to that he can't consecrate a bechar. But I would have thought that he can still make other things holy, because it has the word Isai. Isai it. It he shall not consecrate, but other things he still can consecrate. So,
why can't you ask the question even, I know, I don't want to slow us down, but just the bechors are automatically makdish by its own nature. Why don't you ask that question? Everything else isn't hektish unless you make it.
Right.
Or by the fact that it's born.
right.
So that even the
Right. Well, ultimately, that's what the pasuk means. But as we go through the drasha of all the extra words, we're still in the process of working this out. So far we're holding that a bechar adam is not allowed to be makdish or bechar behema. But he can do other things. And Ba'adayan ani Aimer, and I would also say that hula yakdish, that he cannot consecrate the bechar. What about some other fellows? Aval yakdishu acherim, but a bechar could be consecrated by other people. Other people can consecrate this bechar. Now, what does it mean? That means they can change it to another. It's a firstborn animal, but maybe they can make it into a different sacrifice. Maybe that's what it means. Talmud Laimar. So the pasuk says bibehema, in the animal. No, we're not dealing with. Now we designate what's the subject of the sentence, and we're talking about bibehema sakti. That we're not dealing with the firstborn at all. We're dealing with the firstborn animal. And we're only talking about that you can't consecrate a firstborn animal, and it has nothing to do with what type of person. So it says, Ach b'char sheyivuka la'Hashem bebehema, that determines the whole subject of the sentence, that the firstborn animal, that a person shouldn't consecrate. So Yochel lo yakdishenu bebeten. Maybe it only means that while it's bibehema, while it's in the womb, you can't consecrate it. Maybe it means that you can't consecrate it while it's in the womb. Now that's going to contradict what we learned in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says that while it's in the womb, you can change its holiness. So Talmud Laimar sheyivuka laHashem, that's firstborn to Hashem. Yeshivuka laHashem yata makdash aval makdash bebeten. No, you can change it while it's in the womb before it's born. You can give it a different status, a different holiness. Change it into an Eily. And say, before it's born, I'm already consecrating it as an Eily. You could do that. Yochel afaladi kol kadashim kain. Maybe you can do that to all other offspring of sacrifices. Tamalaymer ach chalak. The ach tells me that you can't consecrate other animals while they're in the womb. Only a bechar you can do this to. So the Gemara now says, Alma svirale, it must be that vladi kadashim imeim and hikadashim. It must mean that other animals are already consecrated in the womb. And that's why you can't change their status of sanctity. But a bechar is different. Bechar you can. Bechar is only Menachem, only after it comes out of the womb. That's Peterechem, once it comes out, then it gets the status. But other animals, if the mother was a karban, then the animal is also a karban. So what we just did here is we just expressed the machlokes. Do we say that animals are consecrated in the womb or only after they're born? We're going to see that that there's a huge difference between if someone sanctifies an animal that's pregnant, to if he sanctifies an animal and then the animal becomes pregnant. So here we're talking about that he sanctified an animal and it becomes pregnant. Now the question is, does the creation of this embryo take the sanctity immediately, or does it take the sanctity only after it's born? That's really what we're discussing here. Okay, and then if it doesn't take the sanctity till later, then I can change its sanctity while it's still in the womb, and that was this discussion. Can I call it a shlamim or an oila while it's still in the womb, even though the mother was a chatas or something? But if I say that it's already sanctified as it's developing, then what are you doing? It already has a specific status. Amalei Rav Amram le Rav Sheshas. Rav Amram has an interesting question. He asks Rav Sheshas this following question. Amar ala b'charim yitzias rubai oila. Let's say at the exact moment that the bechar is being born, it's the exact moment that it's coming out, the majority of the animal is coming out, and he calls it an oila. So now there's like a conflict. On one hand, it's a bechar. Naturally, it's a bechar. But it's being imposed on it by the owner that it's an oila. So which one takes precedence when it's exactly at the same time?
Depends if it's a breach.
Okay.
Because the head didn't come out, it wouldn't be
so
a
here,
bechor,
he didn't mention the head. He's talking about probably, I guess, where it is breach. And then you look at the majority of the animal. Mitzias rubai. Maybe rubai means reisha, I don't know. No, it's the majority of the animal. We're looking at the majority of the animal. So he asks like this: Oila havi or bechar havi? What is it? Is it an oila or bechar? Which one takes precedence? So he answers. Well, he doesn't answer. He explains the question. Oila havi. Do we say it's an oila? The chol portu the kanafik hukalel. Because every drop that comes out is entirely burnt, In other words, there's an extra sanctity in it. Or do we say it's a bechar, the chol porto the kanafik b'milsehu? Or do we say that we just keep it in its status, and it's a firstborn? As it's coming out, it retains its original status, its natural or organic status of the way it was by nature. It's a bechar. Lishnachrina, there's another version of this, but it's the same point. Do we say sheken kedusha chayla Allah? Do we say that there's an extra holiness that comes in it? Or do we say it's a bechar because that's its natural holiness from the womb? It's an interesting question because it's one is like a trained, an outside, much greater holiness, or do we say that the natural holiness that it has, which is much lower, that's the main one? Like which one? Like stability versus, some very powerful. Okay, the Gemara says, "Mighty Bailach, what's your shaila?" I know the Bay Ilfa. Ilfa already asked the same question. He didn't ask it about karbanas. He asked it about grain. What was happening? Someone's cutting the stalks of wheat, and one of the stalks of wheat, he as it falls off. If he drops to one or two stalks, he's supposed to leave it. Yeah.
Back up to that last statement. Kind of sounds like this on a higher realm is really a machlokes of, are we dealing with the pnimius of Hashem in the thing, or the makefes? In other words, is it inherently holy as it is, or is it given the holiness?
Uh-huh.
If you understand that question, you're going to get a trophy.
You know what I'm
You've been drinking Sumatra coffee.
No.
Is it what's there by nature, the way that
by
that
nature
God,
of what Hashem made
Well,
it,
the way God allotted.
hashkafa of Hashem from
what we're able to add to it.
in the world.
You love it.
So
I didn't have that. I had coffee.
So his Ilfa's question was like this. You remember Ilfa? Ilfa was a friend of Rabbi Yochanan.
Oh, I thought Ilfa wasn't frozen. Elsa.
What?
Elsa.
Did that with coffee? With the canister.
Had to be the brownie. I was joking.
Okay. So if he says ala leket im neshiras rubai yehei hefker. He's cutting off the stalks. Majority of the stalk is cut off. And the rule is that if two stalks fall, he's not supposed to go back and collect it. He's supposed to leave it for the poor. So it's mostly cut. And as it's getting that point of where it's mostly cut, he pronounces that it's hefker. Hefker means that it's open to anyone to take. Leket means that it's open to poor people to take. So naturally it's leket. But he's throwing in his own like initiative here that it's hefker, it's open to everyone. So leket havi, do we say that it's leket? Or hefker havi, do we say that it's hefker? Leket havi shken kedushas b'dei shamayim. Do we say that it's leket that comes from heaven? Or dilma hefker havi shken zeichen bayani v'ashir? Or do we say that it's hefker because more people can take it? There's like some extra. He disowns it entirely. Hefker means he disowns it. V'amar Abaya. And Abaya said to that, Abaya answers to Ilfa. It's a few generations there, I think. He says, Mighty Boile, what was Ilfa's question? Divrei Rav, Divrei Talmud, Divrei Mishayman, Hachanam, Divrei Mishayman. He says, look, I have what God said and I have what he said. God said that it's leket. This guy claims that it's hefker. So we have a conflict between him and God, so God wins. So the same thing is with the Bechar and the Eily. God says that it's a Bechar. He claims that it's an Eily. So that conflict, God wins.
Can't change your destiny.
So what
Change
it
your
boils down
attitude.
to is that the nature overcomes what we impose on things. When there's a conflict between nature and what we impose on it, the nature's going to win.
Whoa.
Nature as in the way it was created and the way it was going according to God.
But you can
Okay.
change what you do with your nature. Right? The person born under the Adam, right? Mars, he can become a surgeon as opposed to a killer.
Right. It's because it's not a conflict then.
No, it's only
Right.
because his attitude.
Okay, the Mishnah says, Ha'imer Vlada shel zu Eily v'hish lamed.
Is that what
You know, it's kind of interesting to compare this discussion of the halachas of someone who sells a cow that's pregnant and how he can distinguish between parts of the cow.
Right.
Fly in the ointment, of course, the difference is the designation of a bukor that comes automatically.
Right.
But otherwise, there's some analogies.
Right. Right. That's going to go.
Golden buzzer!
No, that wait for the next Mishnah because that's going to be it's going to be elaborated on in this Mishnah.
He gets just for flying the ointment reference.
Okay, flying the
Ha'imer Vlada shel zu
My
Eily
shelf will collapse.
v'hish lamed dvarav kayamim. Let's read the next case that we'll go back and explain. This is the opinion of Reb Meir. Hish lamim vlada Eily, harezu vlad shlamim div Reb Meir. Reb Meir holds that if a person makes two statements, and he talks about the mother and he talks about the offspring. So, if he starts off saying, specifically the offspring is an Eily, but the mother is a shlamim, so he's already designated the offspring before the mother. So then, the animal's pregnant now. So that's how it happens, because he designated the embryo, the fetus, before the mother. If he does it the other way, and he just discusses the mother, he says, and he points to the animal. Now, in the mother is also the fetus. So when he designates the mother, he's designating the fetus along with it. And afterwards, when he's discussing the fetus, he's now switching that. So if he says, it is a shlamim, and the offspring is an Eily. So Reb Meir views that as that you've just adjusted something that you just said, and we don't count your adjustments. So therefore, it's going to be, the whole thing is going to be a shlamim.
So the adjustments after he already said the first statement, and then he changed his mind?
Right. So what's happening here is that Reb Meir says when he talks about the mother, he's really talking about the whole mother, including the embryo, including the fetus. And then when he decides to discuss the fetus directly, Reb Meir views that as he's retracting from what he said originally, and we don't accept that.
So it's not like a Tachkidei Dibur kind of
Oh, the Gemara is going to discuss Teichidei Dibur. It's not going to work.
Baby, I wish I had a
It's not going to work. Now,
It's like 4
so the way to do this would be where you have to discuss the fetus first. If you want to consecrate the fetus and the mother differently, you would have to explain specifically that the fetus first and then the mother, because the mother includes the fetus if you're just pointing at it and say this is.
I'm
Rabbi
sorry,
Eily.
say that again, the last thing you
If you're
just
pointing at an animal and you say this is, and it happens this is a shlamim, and it has a fetus inside, so you've just discussed both of them. And then when you want to talk about the fetus, Reb Meir is going to say, oh, you're retracting from what you said. Because originally you said everything. And so how would you do this? You would say, well, the fetus is Eily. And then you go back and you say the mother's a shlam, and then you've already taken care of that little detail inside.
So when you designate the fetus, it does not spread to the mother.
No,
like the
that's for
limb,
sure not.
Which we learned once before.
Right. Rabbi Eily says, Rabbi Eily argues with Reb Meir, he says, look, if that was his intention originally when he said the mother's a shlamim, so, fact is, you can't say both statements at the same second. You wanted to talk about the mother, you wanted to talk about the fetus. You had to say one of them first. So you said the mother first, but it's not like you delayed and then you changed your mind. That was your original intention. So you're not changing your mind. You had to say one statement at a time. So Dvar Kayamim. Rabbi Yossi holds that we don't look at the first statement as all-inclusive and now you're changing your mind. So V'imi Sha'amar Harezu Shlamim, if he said that this is a Shlamim and then Nimlach, and then he changed his mind, V'amar Vlada Eila, then Harezu Vlada Shlamim. Then this is a Shlamim. Then you can't change your mind. That's true, you can't change your mind. It's just, if his intention originally was only to discuss the mother, it's not considered changing his mind or changing his words.
So he says you can't say both things at the same time.
And therefore, if you say them separately, both of them will take effect.
So Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi are disagreeing.
Right.
Now, with a Mishnah like this, they're at the same level, right? Meir and Yossi, they were both students of Rabbi Akiva.
Right.
So they're disagreeing. So we really don't know what the halach.
Yeah, if I were to guess, I would say the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, because I have one statement that says Rabbi Yossi Nimuka Yimai, that Rabbi Yossi has the I don't know how to translate Nimuka. He has some sort of a superiority in the depth of the reasoning, and also the Gemara says that we don't go like Rabbi Meir because we didn't really understand his reasoning. So if the halacha would have been like Rabbi Meir, would have left it as a Stam Mishnah, and I would have said a Stam Mishnah is Rabbi Meir. And then the halacha would have been like the Stam Mishnah.
What's so complicated about Rabbi Meir's statement?
He was
Isn't
very...
it like on face value,
The Gemara says that people didn't understand what the depth of his... They couldn't understand it.
So in summary, this concept of that he couldn't say both at the same time, how does Rav Meir hold it? How does Rav Meir?
Rav Meir says that you take the first statement and that's the statement and it's finished. And Rabbi Yossi says no. The first statement doesn't mean that that's finished. The second statement was because he couldn't say the second statement at the same time as the first statement, so he had to take. It's not like automatically what's first. It's not sequential here. That what's first is automatically first. It was he needed to spell it out. So give him a second. He's spelling it out.
Only Hashem can do both at the same time.
10 Commandments. Okay, I'm Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yechanan says, Hifrish chatas mu'beres v'yolda. Very interesting case, especially from everything that we're learning. If someone consecrates an animal that's pregnant, and then the animal gives birth. Now, we learned already that a chatas, that gives the offspring of a chatas, is put to death. Rabbi Yechanan says, no, it's not so simple. Offspring of a chatas, rotza ba miskaper, rotza ba vlada miskaper. You have a choice. You can use the mother, you can use the offspring. So what was that whole discussion? Offspring of a chatas is put to death. That's only if you consecrated a chatas, then it got pregnant, then it has an offspring. So that chatas you put to death. But here, he consecrated both. This is like my time. What's the reason for Rabbi Yechanan? Because Rabbi Yechanan im shir meshuya. I could have left out the offspring from the chatas. I could have said that I'm only consecrating the mother. I didn't have to do the fetus. And why? Because ubalav yerachimayu. The fetus is not a limb of the mother. It's an independent entity even before it's born.
That assumes he knows it's pregnant, or he doesn't?
Yeah, he knows it's pregnant. The havale kamafer shtei chatos lachrayas. Now, when he consecrates both, and he could have left one out, so he consecrated two, and one of them is to guarantee, to be more responsible. In case one gets lost, he should always have another one here. Rotza ba miskaper, rotza miskaper b'chaverta. And he could use either one. If someone consecrates two animals for a chatas, he uses either one. And the other one, you get a mum and you sell it, and the money becomes yours. Money is used for nedava. Money is used for nedava. Because it's a chatas. It's a chatas. But it gets a mum, you let it get a mum, the meat gets eaten, and the money, something has to stay holy from this. The meat gets eaten regularly, and the money goes to okay. Masiv Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Lazar is a student of Rabbi Yechanan. And the chart is important. Here I have Rabbi Yochanan, and I have Rabbi Lazar. It's Rabbi Lazar ben Pedas. The Yerushalmi, he's called Rabbi Lazar. So we would say, like a nickname almost. It drops the aleph. The Yerushalmi Aramaic would be similar. We would consider it like Ebonics, because the way
Consider it what?
Ebonics. Ebonics. You know, it's like
Man, you don't know what
I've
Ebonics
never
is.
heard that word.
it's another dialect
He's
of
from
English.
California.
Did
Not
you
from,
not know what
not from New
Ebonics
York.
is?
Spell it.
It's like a black English.
You're based on-
No, but that's what Ebonics is. That's what it started with. No.
It's another dialect, but what happens is words can get combined,
I
and
don't know if I don't understand.
It's a
Aramaic or
legalized
Hebrew. No, I don't
malapropism.
understand the English in this class either.
no, you can.
Legalized malapropisms.
Street language.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
So words get combined, and there's
Okay.
this slang, and names get shortened into nicknames, and so.
Okay, now
Okay. No, so when you read it, if you open a Yerushalmi and you read it very slow. So, what's that, Jeff? Oh yeah, yeah. I
said?
can't
What did he
repeat it. He's asking if I remember an Ebonics joke that he told me. It's the problem with these jokes; I can't say them over. Okay, so when you read it, you have to read it slowly, because you have to hear the way it sounds to get the. You can't look at only at the way it's spelled, and also you have to read it slowly and